Hello and welcome to Live If 10 online Q&A sessions. And you've all just been watching The Way We Speak. I'm sure you all thoroughly enjoyed it. The comments are coming in already. And I've got great news for you this evening. We're joined by the director, Ian Ebright, and the lead actor, Patrick Fabian. So welcome, fellas.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to be here.
Absolute pleasure. Pleasure to have both yourselves and the film. So first up, just to kind of get the ball rolling with the Q&A, the genesis of the project. How did it all begin and how do you develop it into the film we see today?
Well, I'm going to throw you a slightly different answer, but still true. I mean, on my end, it was a couple documentaries. I gravitate toward nonfiction. So the first, Best of Enemies, Gore Vidal versus William F. Buckley, one of the wiser and favorite documentaries of mine that I think really got the political landscape that we're living through into a nutshell. And I found a lot of wisdom and almost poetry in that film. And then Life Itself, about the film critic Roger Ebert. I grew up on Siskel and Ebert. Those guys were like my dads in the TV tube, and that documentary about his life, about his competition with Siskel and eventual sort of hard-won love and illness and complications with his wife. That really felt like Best of Enemies in a personal way. And, I was like, didn't have the stomach for a political film, but as a writer thought, I don't know, what if I kind of do that in a narrative sense and make it religion? Because, religion feels like politics. It's a very strongly held, divisive topic where everyone has earnest beliefs, and that can be conducted well or less well, as we've seen play out on the world stage. So that was it. And then now I have to say, the real genesis for me with this leading man is watching Better Call Saul, man. And one of the best outros I've ever seen of a character. That show belongs in the top 5 all time for me. And I won't spoil anything, but to go from screaming at the TV at the end of that series after 6 seasons to connecting with Patrick and having a rapport and getting on about the script in a way that felt good to both of us, and then being on set in Portland, Oregon 6 months later, like that's my kind of, I'm not a starstruck person, but that's my like pinch me moment. So yeah, that's like, I feel like he's such an inevitable part of the film, obviously because he's our lead, but also because I think Patrick Fabian was inevitable for this role. So, and there's no him in this without Better Call Saul.
There you go. Follow that, Patrick.
Well, first of all, everybody loves sunshine up their skirt, so thank you very much. And if anybody's wondering why I was going and do the project, there it is, right there. The thing is, I got a hold of Ian's script. He, for any young filmmakers out there, what he did was he wrote a script and he found a way to get it to me. And it wasn't like he put it in a paper bag at my favorite restaurant. He called my manager and called my agents and submitted to them. He called them and he wrote to them, and my manager passed it on to me and I read it. And, the proof is in the writing. I read the script and I was like, oh, I love this script. And I even called him up, we had a meeting and I was like, I'm not even sure exactly what it's about, but I know you're trying to say something and I like what you're trying to say. And I love that you're reaching for big ideas. And and I think that's beautiful and it's great. And, we had a rapport on the phone. And he was basically like, look, I'm trying to figure it out too. So why don't we come up and unlock this puzzle together? And who doesn't want to do that? I mean, that's what I love to do. The idea of like, let's put on a show, let's get together and do this thing. And he was excited because it was his feature and the first feature he was going to direct. And I love being on the ground level of stuff like that. So really, it was the script, his outreach, and then the idea of like, well, come on, what else are we doing? Let's go do this thing. And it was really fun right from the get-go.
That's great. Two great positive answers. There's actually there's a lot coming in now. I'm just trying to kind of get through the emojis and hearts and loves and exclamation
No. Let's count the hearts and count.
Yeah, we've got plenty. I'm putting the glasses on, so I'm getting to that
age. We artistic people are fragile souls. You gotta pump that stuff into our veins.
So we've got 3 loves and 2 exclamation marks. Such an original piece for independent filmmaking. A real pleasure to watch. Characters were extremely strong, so was the writing. How was the casting process in the development of the film? We've kind of touched on that, but I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit more in terms of the casting and how that process was?
Yeah, terrifying. Like Patrick told you the first part, but then we have this great connection, and he's not signed until a few months later because he's a busy in-demand actor, as he should be. And indie film, all the things that we sort of bemoan about studio influence and things, there's also a positive side to it. And with independent film, which is limited money, limited time, it's really scary, because the clock's going. I have a producer, and everyone's getting paid, and we're already watching the account go down. So we saw a lot of people. Worked with a great casting director, Dia Weiss, who does casting for Luc Besson's films, and she was fantastic. And it was terrifying because there were, the thing I don't say enough is that there was a lot of fantastic actors that we saw for all of these key, say 5 to 7 roles at the top of our ensemble. But once I saw, obviously, Patrick, but also Diana Kokonobu in the role of Claire, Kaylee Rhodes as Simon's antagonist Sarah, Ayanna Berkshire, who plays Annette, and Lowell Deo, who plays Terrence, the moderator, and really even Rico Di Stefano as George, which is such a small but pivotal role. I was really freaked out, truthfully, because there was no second place, there's no way to like denigrate the other people who auditioned. But I really felt like, in the fruit salad analogy, I needed the perfect ingredients to blend well. I was really scared about getting like half of these people or 4 out of 6. It was, you're warned not to have sky high expectations. But once I found the people we got, I really felt like we need all of them. So I'm an impatient person, and there's a lot moving. We're out scouting locations, and it was terrifying. But thankfully, with I think Diana being the last cast, maybe a week or so before production, it was a white knuckle act, which I think is kind of part and parcel of indie film. It's not going to be super telegraphed. There's surprises. So we were really fortunate to get all of my first choices.
And I'm going to jump in real quick. The table read, of course, is where you find out, because we're all like, we signed up to do the play, and it's great. We're going to go on location, and it's really great, but we don't know each other. Most of us had not worked with one another before, and you're nervous. And what was great was that, you sit down at the table read, and again, the script is what attracted me. I know it attracted the other actors too. It was a real actor-friendly script with lots of possibilities. But you're still like first day of school at the table read, because you're sitting down, and now you're like, ha, ha, ha. And was it Jazzercise? Or
Yep.
was it Rumba that was going on next door at the studio space we were at?
Yeah, it was one of those. I mean, it was like...
Yeah, so imagine you just saw the film, everyone who's still on here, you saw the film. So we're reading that script, but literally you can hear thumping through the walls, shake it, move it. And, so it was a wonderful sort of icebreaker as we were reading and plumbing the depths, because everybody just sort of went all out right on the table read. And at the end, we all sort of looked around with that wonderful, it makes the hair stand up on my arms again. That kinetic sort of like, oh, we got something here, I think. And we got excited. We're like, let's go to work.
Well, I certainly think that's resonated with the audience. It's just come through now in terms of, we've got Joan from Liverpool. Dialogue and delivery was on another level. Knowing full well how difficult independent film is, were there any major challenges in the process of delivering this dialogue on screen? So maybe generalize that question in terms of, hurdles to get over within the process of making this film. Are there any that stick out for an actor and both director and writer?
Let me jump in first, only because in terms of dialogue and whatnot, we love the dialogue. As you know, it's a pretty talky film, right? It's a lot of ideas. It's a lot of words. There's time spent on stage with actors in a debate. How brave is this fucking director, right? But the debate is interesting, and the words have meaning, and the reason that is because I think he cast it really well. But also, if things weren't working, if there was moments where we're like, I'm not sure what's going on, Ian was a wild breath of fresh air, where he was like, one, let's change that. Or sometimes he'd go like, no, I really want to do this. I really want to make this work. But it wasn't. And he would just go, okay, let's just lose it. And as soon as he lost it, he wasn't going back to wonder about his decision. He would just lose it, and we'd move on. And it became this thrilling sort of way of working, of like, being able to collaborate is the word I'm trying to go for. It was a real collaboration. It wasn't like he was letting the actors run roughshod, but there was a real open, honest dialogue about what we were trying to make this scene about. There, I'll say that.
Kudos to the director. Again, follow that.
I mean, that's so appreciated. I'll cap that by saying, a director's ego is only as pliable as the safety on set. I felt really safe. I'll go back to the table read. We cast on talent, but then we're there, and we've made a bet. Every film, small and big, is a bet, and we're all in. I don't even live in Portland, so it's a different city for all of us. And the intangibles start working, and it's like, these actors are gelling. We feel safe to give and take, and that was we were really fortunate because we've all read the headlines of the one toxic personality, and if it's not safe, we're not sharing those ideas. So credit to Patrick at the top as our star and leading man, and everybody else in the ensemble of intelligent, really good taste. We all kind of saw this thing similarly, so when we disagreed, it didn't feel like a betrayal. And then just quickly to answer the person's question, yeah, the challenge was, obviously marathon dialogue and these sort of like hurdles I put on these poor actors. But then it was really like locations and extras. It's you can really kind of backfill the answer to that great question all the way to limited resources. So our days are tight. 18 days is not enough, but somehow we pulled it off. And you've got to capture background, so you need time for that. It is an absolute high wire act. So for me, when I think back, that's the real challenge. I could count on these people, but I threw them a lot to have to get out credibly and for them to feel good about. But then it's, we have an auditorium, we have 12 locations, we have extras. And I thought I was writing a small film. And by the end of it, I was like, this thing doesn't feel small. So we were hurried.
He said that. He did say that a couple of times. He goes, "I thought I wrote a small, intimate film."
Yeah. Small cast, reoccurring locations. Like I had a little forethought, but it was, we were fortunate to get these great locations, but you have to populate them, and all of this placing extras and things takes time. So to me, that was the biggest hurdle, which is just go, go, go.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next one. The best film I've seen all weekend, bar none, a level above. You'll take that one.
Wow.
He's also gone on to discuss about enjoyment of making film. So I'll take from his statement, really. I suppose if you can think of a rewarding moment in the process of being involved making the film, if you can think of one rewarding moment that you really remember the best you can. I suppose it's a tricky question.
For me, there's always a moment where all of a sudden they're just in stride. Like the getting to know you phase has ended. You have a dialogue with one another. You and camera know how to dance. You and the actors know what's going on now. You know how to give space and support and prop, and a bit of your fear and self-consciousness gets to slip away. And and I know when that moment happens, because that moment happens about the time I have a very clear thought, which is like, oh, fuck, I wish I was feeling like this in that first day. You know what I mean? Because first day of school is first day of school, no matter how loose and, and how much training you are and how many times you've done it, you're maybe a little tight, And then it's back to, Ian's thing of locations. During George's soiree, his wake, what a glorious space to go into. We descended into this bar hotel thing, and it's lit so gorgeously. And, our DP just really shot the hell out of us and gave us spaces to play in that evoked mood. And so I think there was that sense of like, we got down in that basement and we were all like, woo. So we descended into complete narcissism and took selfies because the light was so good.
One of my favorite moments that was a real joy. I love working actors, huge fan of Patrick, and it was like day one. I very vividly have a picture in my mind of we're filming, and I'm on set. Tarantino describes like you make your first film and there's the trailers outside. I didn't have that. What I had was this really iconic voice that I appreciated on a really personal level. And I'm like watching it on my monitor with one eye and kind of keeping an eye on the scene, otherwise, because I like to be close to the camera and the actors. And I instantly have this vibe of, wow, this is really him. He's really here. And this already feels like something I want to watch, which was such a really cool, reassuring thing on day one. I had this kind of quiet comfort of a little bit like building on what Patrick's saying of like with the table read. I was like, I don't think, of course, we're all biased to our own thing, and we hope, and no harm, no foul. But I really had this quiet confidence of like, this is working. I want to watch this. My thing is always I create for the audience, and I really had this feeling of I want to see this. I think people are going to want to watch this. And then I have to throw a bone to our cinematographer, as Patrick just did. AJ Marson and I, like with these 5 to 7 cast members, one of the best creative collaboration experiences of my life, and a shorthand and a rapport and a willingness for both of us to both contend and let go. And again, when you don't have any time, that's such a godsend, and with his technical prowess and things, there's a couple moments at the end of the dinner scene, which I love so much. That turned out like it's one of my favorite scenes. And we get that Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy ECU extra close up of Patrick drinking, and then just like with just spite discarding that. We grabbed that close up, and I mean like the room was packing up. And it's those things where AJ and I were like, dude, go in there, grab that. And Patrick's always game to play. He's not in a hurry to get back to the hotel. So we grabbed that, and I think we cut to it twice, and it just caps that scene for me. And I'm like, that was a matter of seconds that we almost didn't have that to go to. And one more I'll say is him waking up out of bed in slow motion and falling back. We thought it was going to be the rising in bed that was the trailer, but it was really the weightlessness of falling back. And that was as simple as AJ, like, putting his camera on a shoulder mount and just tilting with him as he sat up in slow motion. And it's exactly what I wanted. Last one I'll say, because I know of time, there is sort of a 45-degree angle catwalk shot that AJ and I always wanted of the only auditorium in Portland that was going to work for us. And we got it, and we just couldn't fit it in. And it was really that tap on the shoulder. We had a moment of insight of like, for this apology thing, it feels right. It's not a debate. It's different. So we go up there and we film Annette, Ayana walking out from this catwalk shot that we wanted to use the whole time. And every time we weren't getting it for the debates, we felt we were losing something. But like the movie gods had other ideas, and it was like, no, the right time to use that is when you're not in a debate. That's why you have a different vantage point on it, and it feels awkward and tense, and you feel the punishment that's coming with that shot. And every time I watch it, I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't get my wish, that it like we grabbed it at the end. So it's yeah, those are 3 or 4 moments where I'm like, I love those little last minute things.
You touched on there, Ian, that you create for the audience. Look, I kind of like wrapping these Q&As up with this kind of question in terms of, I know no creator or artistic person likes to preempt what they want the audience to react. But if there's one kind of emotion or thought you'd like the audience to come out from watching this film, what would that be from a director point of view and from an actor's point of view, Patrick? What would be the one thing that you really hope that they'd come away from this piece thinking or feeling?
Patrick, you want to go first?
Yeah, we'll go first since you're the director. First of all, I want to thank everybody who's on the Q&A. I want to thank everybody who came to the Liverpool Festival and supported independent film, because it is you coming and supporting these festivals, watching these films, and it allows me to work. It allows me to be a movie star, because I'm not a movie star. But I get to be a movie star in the independent world because somebody will trust me, Ian, thank you, with his words and do something. And in this case, it was a journey for me. Every piece, I learned something about myself as well. And what I really liked about it, look, I love my character. And I don't think my character is necessarily wrong. And that's a whole nother Q&A we could have. However, what I like about the piece is that it does talk about the notion of ambition and what you discard and are willing to lose and ignore right in your own life, right here and right now, in order to reach out for that ephemeral thing that you think is going to fill the hole inside of you. And I think being able to say those words and work through those emotions, the end of the film was easy for me to access after being able to play the rest of the film beforehand. And that's because of Ian's writing. And I believe art and good writing can still put up a mirror to ourselves to put us in check and maybe take a breath and go through the world a little more gently. to both ourselves and the world. How about that?
That's a beautiful answer. Beautiful answer. Once again, no pressure at all, Ian.
No, and this is why this guy and I got on so well. That's an amazing answer. I'll end on something that Kaylee Rhodes, again, who plays Sarah, his antagonist, said. And it's kind of getting at what Patrick's saying about art. I hope it just like meets people where they are. I like narrative stuff, nonfiction stuff that kind of stirs me up in an uncomfortable way, is emotional and cathartic, and maybe not in a way that I'm super comfortable with. And that's kind of my hope for people. Like, I love the tapestry of different responses. Like, we built this thing. I can say that everyone gave it their best. But ultimately, we love these sort of different responses and questions, which is what creating something is. We only are owners of this thing for so long, and then we get the benefit of having our names on it. But it's really about how we can anticipate to a point, but we love when we're surprised at someone's read that's just completely out of the conversations we had. So, we all woke up today and we all saw the headlines, man. These are really, really fraught times. The West is under major transition, and this film still feels timely to me. I understand the fear. I have it myself. How do we all have integrity and stay afloat financially, while the world is changing, while the world feels precarious? So film still feels timely to me, and I echo what Patrick said. And if people take away a sense of it's fine, we got to strive. We have dreams and goals, no problem. We disagree, not a problem. But as we reach for the stars, that we be careful not to become something other. To go back to Gore Vidal, that we don't get bit by a werewolf or get bitten and become this rabid beast, because we see a lot of anecdotes of that in the headlines. And if we all play by that rhythm, we're in deep trouble. And we need people of all stripes, artists, working, whatever, all of us to find a more thoughtful way. So I both hope that, and that, it's individual to the person. It's like someone going to see the Grand Canyon. Everyone will have a different experience based on who they are. And I just realized I liken my film to the Grand Canyon, which is a terribly lofty way to go out. But oh well. Hopefully people know what I mean.
Well, I'm sure they do. I mean, the comments are amazing that are coming through. I'm sure we'll relay them back to you at a later time. But the Grand Canyon, it's definitely affected the people that watched it. And I just want to take this opportunity just to thank you both for your time this evening, this afternoon, whatever time might be, where you are. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Really insightful. It's obviously a passionate project that you both are really proud of, and we're honoured to have showcased it here for you, Liverpool. Hopefully next time we'll see each other in person for your future work, and we wish you all the best in whatever the next step is.
Absolutely. And Al, thank you again to you and Liverpool and everybody, this packed house that stuck around for the Q&A. And we'll say, we're people in need. This thing is out in the US and Canada. We would love to see this film out internationally, especially in Europe. So I'm easy to find on the internet. If anyone's watching that has connections, we're actively currently looking for international distributors, especially in Europe. So if this sort of sparked anything for anyone and they have some leads, please reach out. We love this film and would like to get it out to a wider audience.
100%, absolutely. It deserves to be seen. Absolutely deserves to be seen.
Thanks again, Al.
Thanks again. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, friend.
Take care.